Hey everyone, thank you. And I would like to start right away with addressing the elephant in the room, which is this presentation is going to be in English. So this is not intentional, this is just the language that I speak. It's not native for me, it's not native for you, but this is how we can communicate. And I will try to speak at a slower pace. It's not because I'm not emotional or I'm dying or something, it's just to make sure that we guys understand each other better, all right? So before I proceed, I want to raise your hands, those who ever saw me or even know who I am before. There's a few people, maybe like around 30, which makes me easily the top 5 most known Ukrainians after Zelensky and Klitschko in Germany. So my name is Nick, and we co-founded Onepage with Marcel together many years ago. And I have to say it's always a blessing and a curse to speak after someone like Marcel, because a blessing is, on one hand, he gets you warmed up and energized. On the other hand, now you know what the standard for public speaking is. So, I mean, it's really, really high. And as he walks through the room and interacts with you, I mean, for me, it works different. I either walk or I speak. So you'll probably see me most of the time here, some of the in the room. And this is how the responsibility split is. Thank you for the introduction. So in general, Marcel takes care of all the business things, obviously, because the business is a German business, and he oversees marketing, and he does it extremely well. So it's almost like a movie watching him in action. And me and my team would take care of the product and product development. And the product is oftentimes mistaken with tech. So it's like people think it's about the code and like the general direction in the code. So I wrote my last line of code in the uni, and the product development really is about bringing in all the crucial components together. So sometimes it's design, sometimes it's copy, sometimes it's code, to make sure that the overall quality of the product that you receive is high. This is what product management and product development is about. And you'll have a lot of very detailed, very intense content from all the speakers that we have today. It's a great content, and I would like to keep it light. And before I proceed, is there anyone in the room who used Onepage for more than a year? So we have it more or less like split in half. So especially for those who don't know us for a long time, this will be helpful. I would like to start with the general idea of why we even built Onepage. We'll proceed with how it evolves over the time, because the market had evolved. We launched Onepage many years ago, and since then, a lot have changed. And finally, what most of you will be interested in, we'll uncover what comes next, what can you expect from us, what will be the further developments are in 2025, 2026, and how you, as our audience, our clients, can benefit from it. All right, this one asked. So I will start with why we even built Onepage, and this is the question that we got asked many times from clients, from investors, from all over, like from everyone basically, is why you even built Onepage, because there are so many competitors. When we started, it was already Wix, it was already WordPress, it was already Webflow, there's so many players. So why do you need another website builder? This is the question. And I would like to answer this question so you get a little bit of a better understanding of what we are even doing and what you guys use and what Onepage was back then and is right now. So it all started many years ago. And back then, the interesting thing about the online marketing was that most regions, I would call them regions, like Dich is a region, Eastern Europe is a region, Asia is a region, were looking after Americans. So American scene was very popular back then, and it was like many very well-known names, and we used to visit their events, we used to copy from them. It was many years ago again, and we were not exception. So Marcel was a part of a big mastermind in the US, where all the cool ideas were, all these guys were there, and we had this general perception of how the online marketing should work and how websites and landing pages should look like and be built like. Fast forward, in 2026, Dich is now sometimes ahead in many ways. So by observing what you guys are doing inside the software, I can clearly tell that Americans are not even close in the level of sophistication and like detail-oriented approach that many of you have. Like the good example would be this recruiting funnels or any kind of funnels. I mean, you know how Americans look for employees? They post on Craigslist or like on a Glassdoor. No one actually builds funnels for that. And you guys are really ahead, and I would say that the Dich is probably one of the most advanced regions in the world right now in terms of online marketing, which is great. So these guys over there, they created something that we now call direct marketing. And this is a good example of it. So direct marketing was something very practical. It was the time when people were actually focusing on results, conversion, performance, more leads, and business impact over everything else. So it was not uncommon that your normal website would look normally, but then you had these funnels that looked like this. Anyone remember these times? Anyone understand what I'm speaking about? Yeah, it was many years ago. And I mean, this is like very American. So are you ready for success? All capital letters. Here's a little bit of more examples. So what distincts this style from many else, and that's how you can recognize it, is it starts with oversized, flashy buttons. So the buttons were huge. And I remember us with Marcel having a conversation back then. So we started Onepage, and we were debating around the color and the size of the buttons we would put on our landing page. And Marcel was like towards making it green, even though our CI was blue, because green supposedly should drive more conversions, and because green works better. And I was like, no, it has to be blue because we have everywhere blue. And he was right. I mean, this was the common knowledge back then, that green is better than blue in terms of conversion. It has to be huge, so the button has to be really huge. Then there was like this never-ending pages that were literally squeezing you in terms of sales. So it's like, buy this, buy that, buy now. And it was like timers and countdowns and, I mean, all the repeatable claims. And there's going to be the down sale and the up sale. So, I mean, you know it. And lastly, this very hard selling tactics. And I have to say that even though Germany, in German-speaking countries in general, are culturally more reserved, many people, many influencers, many online marketers in Germany as well tried American copy in German, which was very funny to myself at least. But it used to be effective. So the thing is, even though it was fucking ugly, it used to be effective, and it worked, and it produced results. And back then, it was the only way how to start a project, create a landing page or a website or a funnel, and actually be sure that this will convert, that this will bring leads. And people did it like this. So that's why it still exists to this day. And that then there was the other world. And the other world was the complete opposite. So these two worlds, they existed at the same time. One was direct marketing approach, and the rest, I would call it aesthetic creatives. So there was websites like Awards or Dribble and Behance, and actually these types of creatives, they would rather focus on something very aesthetical, very branding oriented, but, and not but. And this is kind of the general outlook of something, how it was looking at like 2019. So it's all very clean and very good. But there was a problem that these websites, these ones, never worked in terms of conversion. In fact, and I was a part of this movement as well, in fact, we were kind of competing with each other with whom will create a website that is more unusable, because it was so heavy on animations and the buttons were nearly impossible to find. And here comes the conflict. Two of these existing styles, they get in conflict with each other. And the conflict is that one style was short-term result-oriented, so like leads now, results right now, and the other one was not completely, but what we know right now is a branding approach. So representing the brand, because you cannot represent the brand if it's ugly, like in direct approach landing page. So essentially, this is practicality versus impression, so or short-term vision versus long-term vision. And back then, there was nothing that would combine these two. So it's 2015, 2016. By the way, like Fast forward, this style that is emerging right now is a combination of these two, but it only appeared after many, many years. And we started Onepage with an idea to create a landing page builder. That's how it sounded back then. We create a landing page builder, not even a website builder, that would blend those styles together, that would allow people to create beautiful, or like aesthetically correct, at least, websites that will work well. So to just merge these two. And yeah, I mean, that's what we started with. And it's an interesting finding because many of you think that if you start a startup, you should have this genius idea. Otherwise, it will not work. I mean, this is not genius, it's very practical. So we started software in a market full of competition with a simple idea of like just blending aesthetics with performance. And that was it. And what we knew back then is that we have to create a builder that is easy for beginners to start with. That's a must, because otherwise you would not be using Onepage. That guides users with the best, always updated content. And this is problematic still with many builders because the content, like your sections or your website templates, are still from the day of creation, 2015, for example. And we in Onepage, we plan to change the content once again, but we already did it 3 times. So you always have this fresh, most working content, sort of. We also thought that it should help people actually finish their projects because there is this huge gap between those who just start building a website or a landing page or like whatever, and those who actually finish. I would say that 80% of people will actually never finish what they started. So we wanted to design a software which will help with it, to shorten the time of creation so that even the most impatient or uneducated in terms of online marketing, like people, can accomplish their projects. And lastly, it should have delivered a great performance results. Of course, it should work. It should have the forms, it should have the funnels, it should have CRM, and it should look and be structured the way that works for online marketing. And that was hard. That was very hard, and I can uncover the reason for it. So this is pretty much backstage. Is any of you in a software business? Any of you doing software? Yeah, it's like 15, 20 people. You will understand that. So when you do software, and all of you have examples of it in your head, so you have some certain software that you use, so you can use the software that is built when engineers are in lead, and it's always feature-packed, so it has everything, but then it's almost unbelievable to use. You cannot use it, I mean, it's so bad, but it has all the features. Then there is the software which are created by designers. So this is going to be aesthetically clean, all good, all great, but there will be no features because features mess up with the interface. I mean, features make designs look bad, so that's why it's going to be underdeveloped. Or you can use the software that is built by business, and these are the worst. So they don't have any pros, but they sell well. And I would say that the biggest achievement that we ever made in Onepage was that we finally made it. We finally made that design, engineering, and products and business work together. So in Onepage, there is no imbalance. There is an input from everyone. So there is an input from engineering, there's an input from design, there's an input from online marketers, and there is, of course, an input from business. This is the combination, and this is what was really hard. So historical facts, we started between Berlin and Kiev, we're remote. Made a lot of memories together, was really cool and fun, and took us many years until we actually shaped the software, so you guys started liking it. At the very first, when we released Onepage, I mean, we kind of gathered the wrong audience for an innovative landing page builder, and one of the most frequent requests in our support were like, how to get Onepage on CD, or something like this. So then, I mean, in a couple of years, we developed it to the point where you started using it, and like a lot of time passed, maybe 2 or 3 years. And finally, we grew from 5 people to the amazing team of almost 35 people who take care of the developments, of your requests, and generally of Onepage as a software and as a business every day. And I would suggest a round of applause for the Onepage team. Great. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So fast forward, we kind of made it work. And it's a blessing to kind of have a page builder as a product because you see what people actually built because it's live. And you can understand whether you are successful or not to the software. And it's helped us a lot. So we made it work in maybe like 2021, 2022 was the moment like was a tipping point for us where we're like, okay, so we're doing something right. And there was a moment when we realized a few things. And these few things were that the way people use Onepage is a little bit different of how it normally is. And I will talk about this in just a few minutes. But now I want to first start with how it normally is. So, and here's like the slide that we share with Marcel, but it's okay. So the way people normally build websites is that they kind of reserve themselves like businesses. Imagine like a small business building a website. So they first think of the website. So there's this tension going on. It's like, oh, we have to have a new website. We have to have a new website. And then finally, kind of, you go for it. And then you reserve the team. Sometimes you hire the help. And then within a few months of an exhausting work, you kind of make it. And here's your new website. And this is like a shotgun approach. So you kind of round it, and then you fire once, and you get a website. But then what happens next? And I call it launch and leave. So you're too tired of working on your website anymore. You hate it at this point. So you leave it for many years to come. And then these are the results of this approach. So you can make a really beautiful website if you use this approach. So it's very custom, very like, there's a lot of animations, and it's like almost like a suit. So it's tailored to be the certain way. So if you want to insert a little bit more content here, more content there, all the beauty is gone. So this is how, ideally, in an ideal world, people make beautiful and working websites. This, I mean, it's a nightmare. So it's great looking, but it's not practical. And this approach, while it's the most popular one, it has a lot of downsides. And the first downside is, and I spoiled this a little bit, it's nightmare to create and nearly impossible to edit because you stuff so much. And I mean, you kind of, you take the website creation as if like it's your child's birth, so to speak. So it's so many people working on it, and it becomes very fragile. And the reason why you cannot edit it anymore is normally, and by the way, regardless of whether you use a website builder or you code it, like custom code it, is that because these people don't work well together. And normally, to make edits, you have to kind of negotiate. So this leads to less adjustments. So because you're, as a business owner or as a business person, because you have to, you even think of like that you have to talk to these guys. And then you kind of leave it like this. It's like, nah, I'll just finish it somewhere later. It leads to less adjustments, and we'll talk about this. It's very important. And it results in missed opportunities. So you miss opportunities every day, and they pile up in your online marketing because you don't want to touch your website. And then, as any other website, it quickly becomes outdated, causing a full rebuild. So once in a few years, you restart this process. Not you, I mean, it's like in general. And then you create a new website, and then you create a new website because everything gets old. And makes less and less sense anymore. As, I mean, this is the research. By the way, this was like a funny story about that. So, culturally, I'm not German, and but kind of, I educate myself for many years of what your culture are and so on. It was like yesterday, I had this back thought on that, so maybe I will change something in the presentation. I went to ChatGPT, this 4.5 version. I'm like, okay, so give me suggestions, and like, what should I add? And like, the first one was like, German Slavs research. So the good research is there. 56% of SMBs have an hour or less per day to spend in marketing. And I mean, I'm hiding that it was like 1,300 response in Oklahoma, but I mean, generally that's true. So people have businesses, I mean, we have such an overwhelming world that we don't have time for this anymore. So we have less and less time in order to spend in our online marketing for like every day. And the main conflict is that building websites is now only part of a strategy, like very small part of a strategy, instead of like being a strategy of its own. So this is very different from 2015. In 2015, you could have created a website or a funnel, and it would serve you for many years to come. Now, as everything changes, you have so much to do. You have all these channels, you have paid media, you have SEO, you have like Instagram and Facebook, and I mean, so many. So websites are just a small part. And by overspending time on creating this very idealistically looking, very great website, you kind of miss somewhere else. So you don't do something else that you should have done. Instead, and now this build, adjust, repeat is something which we observed in Onepage in the way you used it, and we embraced it. So what we've realized is that, first of all, people in generally would create way more in Onepage than we expected. And the good example would be, so there is an account, and let's say they've created their first website, and I clearly see that the CEO, like the next day or like in a week, creates their wedding website, like under the same account. I'm like, why? I mean, this is a business account. I mean, it goes to the company and so on. And then, let's say a couple of days after, we've realized there is a funnel, there is a website, and there is like a booking link, and there is another funnel, and there is this, there is that. So in generally more than we expected. So we expected it to be like a few landing pages, but now we see it's like 20, 30 different pieces under accounts. And I mean, most of them at the very like early stages, they look meh, but they produce results. So it was great. And that's when we realized that it's so important to make changes, that there's a new approach, that it's an opposite of launch and leave. And it stands on 3 pillars, which are very easy. I will go through them briefly. So quick launch beats perfect delay. I mean, it's pretty obvious that you better do something that is not ideal enough, but you launch it and you produce results with it. Then this one is important. So there is 80% of greatness. So imagine this greatest website that you ever saw. When you take just 80% of it, make it like 80% good, but not exactly like enormously cool, you actually spent 20% time on the scale. So you spend 20% time, and you could have spent like 100% time. So this is, by the way, like one of the cores of Onepage. I will talk about this later. So I would strictly advise to do so. Launch something fast, which is not ideal, but 80% great. And build for use, not for museums. So actually edit what you've created. Add new stuff, add testimonials, just as Marcel said. Add testimonials, change text, create new landing pages, create this, create that. So adjust it over the time. And Onepage is a perfect example of all 3. So we've created a software which allows you to launch fast, that's for sure. I mean, that Onepage is easy to use, that's kind of undoubtable. Then it's 80% great. The results that you can achieve with Onepage is 80% great. But it only takes 20% time, so this is the way the software is designed. And it's for sure built for use and not for a museum. It's for sure that people in Onepage are frequently changing what they initially have done, and this brings results. Of course, this comes with the restrictions. And I mean, funnily enough, this is how Onepage feels to a regular WordPress user. It's very restricted, they say. I mean, you cannot do it exactly like I need it to. I mean, I need this logo positioned there on mobile because it's so important. I doubt it's so important, but this is the way it is. So in order to create a software which will produce results for a majority, we went for restrictions. And we're probably one of the very few who did that. It's not a problem to code additional features. It's not a problem to introduce a few more modules to the software. The problem is, when you do that, most people will actually start complaining it's unusable anymore. This is all about the balance. And this is when we've realized, so if we combine all of it, what we're doing with Onepage is like a pure essence. is instead of the professional tool, because all the website builders are in the professional tool basket. So even Wix, by the way, I mean, Wix is not so easy to use. I tried it many times, like Elementor, anything, WordPress, Squarespace, Webflow, Framer, all great tools, all professional tools. You have to take it as a profession. You have to go. There's going to be a very steep learning curve. We do a productivity tool instead. And this is like a very important knowledge about Onepage in general. And this is not happening for the first time. We used to book calls via emails. We used to write, hey, John, are you available at 9 a.m. tomorrow? This is how we used to book calls. Then there was Calendly. We used to go and use classic banks. Of course, we still use classic banks, but now we have an alternative, which is neobanks, which we use for some parts of our savings or some part of our operations. We still use professional tools, but for a certain part, which is a majority, by the way. So I use neobanks for a majority of my time, even though the most of my money are kept in a classic bank. That's how it is. We used to edit like and create banners and all that in Photoshop. There was like very few Photoshop experts. Now we have Canva. SharePoint is a knowledge database. And then we used to connect all the tools together via Zapier, now via code. Now we do this via Zapier. And lastly, so we used to cut videos. Everyone forgot about this, like with Adobe Premiere or like many other professional software. Now we have CapCut on our phone. So we just open up a phone and cut it, trim it, do it to whatever we like. All of these are productivity tools designed for regular people to use on a daily basis. And that's what Onepage is about right now. That's what we try to create. We're not, and answering the question, so initial question was, why to even create Onepage if there is so many competitors out there? They are not competitors, really. You can use Webflow for these two projects that are requiring to have such a high design standard, but for all the rest, you kind of use Onepage. We tried to not build another competitor to the website building tools. Instead, we try to build something which will help you and your employees to just nail the work that they have to do every day, which is exactly the definition of a productivity tool. All right, and this is how we call the vision of Onepage internally. This is the productivity platform for online presence. This is our vision. That's where we're going. So anything that has to do something with your online presence, your business is an agency, your business is a small business, we plan to either implement or evaluate. That's what we're trying to do. All right, now onto the real-life example and of how we use Onepage ourselves, basically. So recently, we made this release, which is called Onepage Forms and Funnels 2025. Anyone who attended the webinar? Love it. And thank you guys for like really responding. It was like the last time that I spoke in English, like many years ago. It was like no one raising hands. And I was like, to this very last minute, I was thinking whether anyone actually understands me or not. So it's like helps a lot. So yeah, we made this release. It's called Forms and Funnels Launch 25. Marcel will tell about this a little bit in future. And it was like this huge amount of work to be done. So Onepage is just in any other business, has a lot of stuff that we have to do. And like, for example, we had this software release, very stressful. Then we had the PPC campaign. Then we had like email sequences, connecting this, connecting that. It's like, just like you do it like every day. And we had no time for page building, really. So it was like out of the scope completely. And then, so this is what Marcel writes me on WhatsApp. So he's like, how's it going? And he's finished. He's finished with his marketing already. And he just sits there waiting for us, like tech nerds, to finish our stuff. It's like always the bad stuff about like being the tech guy. Is that everyone's finished, you're the last one all the time. So he's like checking in. Still needs to be lifted, or more or less sooner in time, release is planned. This is what I answer him. Manage him. And this was the absolute most that I could even write in response to that, because I was really exhausted. Everyone were really exhausted. And then we still had to create, it was like 2 or 3 days before the release, still had to create 3 long pages of decent quality, because it's a standard. Like whatever we publish, you guys will judge it. You're like, oh, Onepage does shit. I mean, I unsubscribed from Onepage. So yeah, we had to do it nice. Last minute. And then here's the backstory. So, all right, so we have to do this, and we also have to do this. And the thing about Marcel is that he always has these nice ideas, but the problem is, so the God sends him this the last minute. So it's like there was a portal, and it was like this thing that he sends. It's like, hey, we have this page to be done. Like, just another one. And I remember we spoke about this, but this was like a little page, like the small one. It was designed to redirect after the release. It's like, so it's like with a recap of what we were talking about the release, what the features are. It was like a small page. And then I opened up this document. It's not a small page. I mean, it's like I think it's like 6 screens long, and it has to have all the features that we have, like all the features with images. And otherwise, let me write you simply here, la la la. So there is no way we're not doing this. So when he writes you like this means he really wants it. And then, if I would be using WordPress, this is probably this situation. So there's no way. I mean, there's one day before the webinar, but luckily we use OnePage, even though it's still hard. It's still hard. I mean, I'm not really that complaining about that. And we ended up releasing it. We ended up making it on time. So we jumped in. It was like a couple people, and we did this like beta tester funnel, and then like OnePage workshop, and then this forms and funnel stuff, and the offer funnel. So it's like many pages. We're done within like a couple days. Worked like a charm. It was like we were very grateful to our own software that we were able to even pull it off. I want to concentrate. I mean, these were like not simple pages. For example, those who bought via checkout, this is how it worked. So it had to like detect if you're registered, then it had to like trigger registration if not, then show you the right information, and many other steps. So, and by the way, based on our forms and funnels, of course you have to code a little bit, but then you can do that. So it was all based on OnePage. And launch went nice, by the way. So we had quite a lot of registrants and 1,600 live attendees, and it was almost throughout the whole time we pushed it like this. So at the end, I think it was like 1,400. So we're really thankful you didn't leave and you actually came in. This type of show up rate as well is like something very Dach-ish. You can never expect in any other region that 5,000 people will register and then 3,000 people will actually come. It doesn't work like this. You guys are blessed. In your business, you're blessed because when people book a call with you, they actually show up. And if people register for the webinar, they actually come. So it's great. That's what I love about you markets and about you people. But then to take it even further, and this is like in a small details, I was then later able to understand what is the spice of the software specifically. So it's like a very fresh finding that we did. So normally when you finish a webinar, so let's say there was a page that people were supposed to register for a webinar, how it ends up? Webinar's gone. Normally, this is what you do. You just take it offline and it's gone. And this is like the small details. Of course, it doesn't really change something. So it's like it doesn't matter. But this is what you do because, I mean, you're done with page building. You have so much other stuff to do. And I was sitting there during the webinar and I was like, okay, so I have time. And maybe we kind of do something extra, like this. So when the time ended, kind of just switched the page that it's ended up, the offer ended up, it's live, just log into OnePage. It's like this one small detail. But it's very important, especially for those who have the team using OnePage. So say you have like 10 employees, 20 employees, and like 3 of them use OnePage. It encourages you to go in an extra mile, just because you can. You know you can. You're not exhausted that much after building a page. So your employees and you yourself can actually step in, change something, duplicate a page, create another angle, whatever. And this is the compound effect. So it kind of over the time, the more you use the software, kind of the more it progresses for you, this whole thing. Oh, what I love about like speaking at our own events is that no one can kick you out from the stage for promoting the software, so like for pitching. That's cool. Let's start with the plan for future. So just to summarize, we started OnePage, worked well. then we realized that people kind of use it in a different ways. So sort of like more results or like more pages. We embraced it and we're like, okay, so we're gonna develop this software in this direction further. And we got rid of everything we thought is unnecessary and focused on what is necessary, and we're building a productivity tool for everyone to use with like very little learning curve, and which is like produces results that are 80% great, but takes 20% of time. And now let's talk about the plans for future. So this is the claim again. This is what we currently have. So the claim is the productivity platform for online presence. And in order to have a platform, you have to have products, multiple ones. So we have pages and websites. We have the GDPR solution, which is, by the way, very competitive with whatever you can use on the site, and unless you have really, really, really high demands. Then we have forms and funnels, which offers more flexibility in terms of like conversion and performance that many other standalone competitors deliver. But it's even integrated with OnePage. This was unprecedented. We spent a lot of time on it. We have the CRM, which is not so great, but we're going to improve it. And we have analytics. And this is our internal benchmarks of where we think we're standing. So we're obviously great in performance. We're one of the best, or like best in class in terms of like ease of use. We have things to develop in terms of flexibility and design, let's be honest. Then the same goes for integrations. The long-term play, especially for the SEO nerds, not so good. I would say it, not so good. So you can do it. We know that there is many pages and websites that are very well ranked in OnePage, but we, as a software, we do not assist you in any way. So you have to do this all externally. This is what I'm talking about. And then in terms of security and reliability, it's good, but we still have the room for improvement. So, and this was basically our end goal from the very beginning. So we want it to be very easy to use and deliver a high standard of performance. Here's the roadmap. I want to start with that. We're not big fans of telling everything that we are going for. So unfortunately, our software exists in a very competitive environment, and there is certain players that someday can become too inspired of what we do. So we kind of try to reserve most things to ourselves and make it all as a surprise. It's not intentional. In case it would exist in an ideal world, we'd share it all and we'd just share a public roadmap. But that's not the case. So today, I will be only showing you, first of all, what is safe to show. You can guess that we're going to do it. And also what is confirmed. What is 100% confirmed is coming. Are we good? Nice. All right, so starting from performance. I will go to these categories like performance, flexibility, integrations, SEO, all that. I mean, we have forms and funnels. If you don't use it, you have to check it out. By the way, who use forms and funnels in OnePage? Most of the room. If you're not using it, you have to at least give it a shot. I mean, you test it. It's very flexible. We pushed it to the absolute maximum. And we do not intend to stop here. We still have some things to introduce. So we'll for sure go for scoring and some automations, just a little bit. Just a little bit, which is enough for most businesses to use and be satisfied with it. We'll introduce new fields and all that, but you cannot expect much more this year from performance. It's already more than enough. Instead, I really suggest you to listen to many speakers that will be talking today, and to really try to understand how to start utilizing forms and funnels to the absolute maximum. Because the difference between someone who just started using them and just creates a simple form, and those examples which we see in the software is like huge. There's a lot of things that you can do in terms of improving your conversion, so you have to just learn it. You have to have someone to show it to you, and I hope many speeches today will follow this exact example. All right. Let's address the elephant in the room, which is AI. I mean, it's like one of the most frequent questions. Are you guys doing something with AI or not? Yes, but gradually. So we will start with something that is safe to use, like which is proven in results, and will consistently deliver on an everyday basis, kind of. We're productivity software. We're aiming for features that will be used on a daily basis. We're not interested in something that will only be used for like 5% of the audience or 15% of the audience. Whatever we draft, whatever we create in Onepage, we tend to do something that at least 80% of people will use. So we will start with copywriting, helping you with the SEO, everything that works in many other software. But I have to already say that even though no one in our space since yet delivered anything which is purely practical on a daily basis, so you see a lot of this create your website with AI type of thing, and it never goes like you want it. So the result is never what you imagine, and then it's simply not helpful. It's experiments, and we are not focusing on experiments. We focus on something that works, and we have something that works. And if we realize that it really works and it has this standard that we set inside the software, we release it this year. If not, release it next year. But for now, in 2025, you can hear me out. We'll release simple, basic AI features that will simplify your life of your employees. All right. Now, speaking of flexibility and design, gladly, we finished with forms and funnels. It took us too many months. It was really hard to make it happen, so we kind of set aside many things that we should have done in the meantime. Of course, we continue with regular design upgrades, which will be, of course, new elements, new UI styles. We will completely kill and replace certain elements. We'll introduce new animations, and we'll obviously create the new template set for 2025, 2026. So the templates that you have right now in Onepage are built in late 2022, early 2023. Now we're establishing the whole department that will purely work on templates because we want it to be replaced frequently. Something stopped working, we have to replace it. So you always have the relevance, and you can always make sure that this works in 2026, this works in 2025. Now the interesting part is that, who of you noticed that we have this pro mode in Onepage now? Not many. Those who didn't notice, you can switch from the classic view to the pro mode, as we call it. So here's the interesting part. Because we wanted to keep Onepage simple for most, we didn't really go for much customization, because if you overdo things, it becomes too complicated. I've already explained this. But now, as we have this pro mode, we'll not go crazy with it, but at least we intend to develop it over the time so it grants enough flexibility for those who want flexibility. Not in terms of code, but for example, in terms of precision, so you can build the layout precisely as you want. In terms of element positioning, in terms of certain settings. So sometimes we will release certain features which will be available just for pro mode, and you can start using it. I mean, if you don't need it anymore, you can just switch back to the classic view and you get this good old Onepage. While both versions will evolve simultaneously, it doesn't mean that now we have two Onepage versions. It only means that if you activate the professional mode, you'll just have more settings. You'll have more settings, you'll have more ability to position certain things in a certain way. This is the idea behind it. And we'll start with grids. We want to replace grids, and we want to kind of customize it with layouts, introduce tabs, introduce this, that. So with sections will be reworked. The first thing that will be released in Pro Mode will be section adjustments. Mobile builder. Of course, I would say we waited for too long with mobile builder. It had its reasons, because as a software company, you cannot do too much at the same time. There was always other priorities. So we will introduce mobile builder in 2025. And what is also great is that because now we have this new UI, which allows you to stack many things within one screen, what I really want to do with the team, of course, is that you kind of can have mobile and desktop being present at the same time. So you can change both, see copy and paste and compare and all that. So far, I'm not aware if any other software does it. Maybe they do, but we just find it very useful. So this type of view. Site SEO. This is going to be released very soon. So if to summarize it, I would say that we'll probably grant all the core essentials of the SEO inside Onepage and a few more things that I didn't see anywhere yet. For example, you'll be able to build your whole like information schema for Google right inside Onepage. So you'll at least try to control it. So the Google, you cannot control Google, but you can try to control it by pushing certain things in a certain format they want. We made an extensive research and we'll try to achieve that. And we will, of course, improve it over the time. You will have SEO suggestions. So you will have certain things that are not in line yet, that you will have to fix. You will have recommendations. And together with AI, hopefully, it can fix things automatically for you, hopefully. Unless that, I mean, you can try to make it manually, but we'll have it all. You'll have sitemap editors, you'll have the robots.txt, and all that. So the SEO module is set to be released pretty soon. We're thinking months, not even quarters. And we hope that with this, we'll make a major leap into you actually creating bigger websites with us. So we hope for that those who really needed it, we understand for their business, they will be able to use it. Right, of course, we'll go for more integrations. That's easy. Then the blog. So actually, this is the most requested thing in Onepage for, I would say, like 6 or 7 consecutive months. Everyone's like, "Where's the blog? Where's the blog? Like, you're on a webinar about forms and funnels. Where's the blog?" And the thing is, we Onepage team, we kind of know you a little bit. And most of the times, when there was a trend and people were asking for a certain thing, when we actually delivered it, those who were most actively asking for it, they did 2 things at the same time. First of all, they didn't use it really. And second of all, they started asking for the new thing. This is always like this. And honestly, this is me all the time. When I see the blog, this is me all the time. But I have to say that even though we always try to do our own thing, I would say we're pretty confident in the vision. Marcel and the team, so we know what we're building, we're also listening. And sometimes, even things that we don't want to do ourselves, because it's reasonable. I mean, to have a CMS or a blog, it's reasonable. Of course, we'll try to do this to a certain standard. We'll try to rework how the blog works in general, try to make it more easy, but it's a pain in the ass. I mean, we'll have to spend a lot of months building blog. We'll do that. And those who are asking but will not use the blog, we'll meet each other next year. I'll ask you how many of you requested the blog and didn't use it. All right, and speaking of security, I mean, Onepage is pretty reliable. We have like service everywhere. We're really paying attention to this, but we're currently working on getting ISO certified. And then we already arranged like the regular security and maintenance checkups. I think it's reasonable for a company our size, so we'll be going for that. And there's going to be a lot of surprises, of course. There's many things that I will not tell you today, which we'll release, and hopefully these will be great for your business, great for your daily use. All right, so the outro. First of all, so we're clear on what's next. Just thank you for being a Onepage community. I'm not sure if I did say it at the very beginning. This was my plan. It always amazes me in Germany, in German-speaking countries, how you guys, of your ability to actually come to the event from all sides of the country and even from the other country. And most Germans whom I asked this, they were like, okay, it's normal. So what is it about this? This is not normal for any other countries. I mean, for most other countries, they would rather attend an event in their own hometown. So I think this is the real sign of intelligence and a willing to grow, and I would like to thank you for that. I mean, as an entrepreneur, it's almost a dream to have 400 people join you at a live event of your company. I mean, it's almost impossible anywhere else, and that's why I think Germany and the Dach market is so great. I mean, you guys are great. So thank you for that. Yeah.